tell us, is there a supplant in the church?
A supplant in the church? Yeah, I believe there is. According to the apostles' teaching, there is. And it's a pastor. You know, the elders. Paul said, find me elders. I've touched on this in a few videos. But find me elders that are well versed in the scriptures, that are able to shepherd. And he commissioned them as the leaders of the church. There was no pastor above them that commissioned elders. The elders were the shepherds. So is there a supplant in the church? Yes. Where did it come in from? It came in from the Dark Ages, where the government wanted to control what was being said in the church. So a man would go to a college that was government approved, a Bible college government approved, the seminary, and then the government would sign off on him. But he had to speak along the lines of government policy. And that was the idea of controlling what was being said in the church. Control. A bit like China at the moment. They've crushed Christianity. There's underground churches. Always will be. But the open churches were crushed. Their buildings were torn down. They allowed the Catholic Church to operate as long as their priests went to a socialist school for 12 months or whatever it was to learn socialist guidelines so they could only speak along lines that came in line with government control. That's where the pastor's ticket came from. They gave them free tax and everything else for that. They got benefits for doing that. But that's still in place now. But is a pastor a supplant? Well, I'd say he is. Because the elders are the leaders of the church. Ones that are there on proven character, not ones that have been sent off and then the government signed off on them. The government's got nothing to do with the church. We're to come away from this. I know you'll hear people say, oh, we're to be obedient to the governments, we're to pray for our governments. Yeah, we don't want to be judged as evildoers. And we want to pray for a godly government, or a government that will allow freedom of gospel, freedom of speech so that we can share the gospel. But the government is not a godly constitution. The government, I hear people say, oh, the government's been put in place there's a few scriptures you can twist. You say that to the people in China, the Christians in China or in North Korea. No, the government's a secular thing, and the church is under God. The leaders in the church are the elders. I come up talking to a guy at the markets. He does the markets and, he gives away little posters and stuff like that with psalms on them. And he tells me, we don't have a pastor, we only have elders. So I say, well, that's very scriptural, because a pastor isn't scriptural. One man that puts elders in place? I don't think so. The elders are the leaders. They are the teachers. The only thing I've got to do with him now is get him filled with the Holy Ghost and I'll join his congregation. Because elders are the leaders in the church, not a pastor with a ticket. Not scriptural. The apostles put the elders in place and they were the shepherds. There was no one above them except the apostles and the prophets. So, yes, a supplant in the church. It was a government supplant. It's still in place now. Just another thing to look at, another little apostasy in the church. It's been there for a long time. We think it's normal. We think it's church. But it's not the apostles' teaching.